Hello everyone and welcome to Edusurg Clinics. I am Dr. Gunjan Desai and today we are going to continue our discussion on diverticulitis, and now we are going to focus on the management of patient with diverticulitis. So we have already seen the modified Hinchey classification. For those who have not gone through the video, this is just a quick summary. The stage 0 is mild clinical diverticulitis. Stage 1 is abscesses. Two is distant abscess, basically pelvic, intra-abdominal or retroperitoneal. Three is generalized purulent peritonitis, and four is generalized fecal peritonitis. Complicated diverticulitis can also have fistula or obstruction, and that is a separate class in modified Hinchey classification. So when it comes to symptomatic uncomplicated diverticular disease, the management is more medical. Bland, clear liquid diet. Parenteral nutrition is usually not required while managing these cases. High fiber diet is recommended as there is evidence that it can prevent recurrence, but the evidence is conflicting. Remember that based on the AGA as well as the ASCRS guidelines, systemic antibiotics are not recommended in symptomatic but uncomplicated diverticular disease. There are some other interventions that have been studied, and we will just list them as no proven benefit. That is rifaximin. Probiotics, again, the evidence is limited. Mesalazine, again, not recommended. So these are some of the medicines that have been studied. Remember that the only thing that works is a diet, which is bland, clear, liquid diet and high fiber, which helps in preventing recurrence at a low evidence recommendation. So antibiotics, rifaximin, mesalazine show no benefit in this group of patients. You can give analgesics, which preferred is paracetamol and spasmolytics. Surgery has no routine role in SUDD, but decision should be individualized in young patients. We will see the various indications for surgery as we proceed in managing the clinical spectrum of diverticulitis. So now going to uncomplicated diverticulitis. Remember that the previous management was for diverticulosis. When it comes to uncomplicated diverticulitis, it can be outpatient or inpatient depending on clinical status of the patient. Outpatient management is okay for stable patients without vomiting or sepsis. Again, a high fiber diet with clear liquids and bland diet. You can give oral broad spectrum antibiotics in this group of patients for 7 to 10 days, analgesics and spasmolytics as required. The common oral antibiotic options that we use are second generation cephalosporin or a ciprofloxacin metronidazole combination. Role of antibiotics as per recent studies in mild uncomplicated diverticulitis is uncertain, but usually used. Oral antibiotics are given for 7 to 10 days, high fiber diet and analgesics as required. At the earlier dictum that if there are two or more mild episodes, the patient should undergo surgery. This is no longer routine, and the indications of surgery are now more individualized. Inpatient management is reserved for elderly patients, immunocompromised patients, or patients with multiple comorbidities, patients with high fever, severe pain, nausea, or vomiting, or patients with refractory disease or poor social support. The treatment is routinely medical. It is IV fluids or parenteral nutrition, IV antibiotics, IV analgesics, spasmolytics, and antiemetics. Common antibiotic regimens in intravenous route we use is aminoglycoside alone or aminoglycoside with metronidazole or a second generation cephalosporin with metronidazole. Higher antibiotics are usually not required. Remember that medical treatment is going to resolve nearly 60 to 90% of cases. So when it comes to indications of surgery for diverticular disease, when we are looking at recurrent acute uncomplicated diverticulitis, and remember that these indications are a summary of multiple guidelines like the Endoscopic Society, Surgical Society, and SSAT. And these are the recommendations from these guidelines. So when it comes to recurrent acute uncomplicated diverticulitis, the decision is now individualized and it is not number based. The factors into consideration are severity of attacks, impact on quality of life. Colorectal PPOSM score is a scoring system that you can use, and the indications of surgery based on these factors will be repeated severe attacks requiring hospitalization, frequent recurrences affecting the quality of life or work, persistent symptoms in between attacks. Okay, so a patient who has a lot of symptoms, severe attacks, multiple hospitalization, symptoms not responding to medical therapy. These are basically the indications where you are going to operate a patient with recurrent acute uncomplicated diverticulitis, especially in immunosuppressed setting. Now going into Hinchey II diverticulitis, initial management can be medical treatment with or without percutaneous drainage. Drainage is preferred when free air is more than 2 centimeters or abscess is more than 4 centimeters. Indications for surgery in Hinchey II will be failure of medical therapy and or drainage. Abscess is an inaccessible location for percutaneous intervention. Non-availability of interventional radiology or elective surgery after recovery from Hinchey II episode. When it comes to strong indications for surgery, remember that all patients with Hinchey 3 or 4 need surgery for sure. So purulent or fecal peritonitis is a strong indication for surgery. Non-resolving bowel obstruction, which can be due to diverticulitis or diverticular stricture, suspicion of malignancy, or diverticular bleeding that is not controlled by endoscopic or colonoscopic methods. This is a very strong indication for surgery. Lastly, patients of diverticular fistula need surgery. So FNO as per Hinchey 3 and 4, suspicion of malignancy and diverticular bleeding. Easy to remember. All these are very clear-cut indicators for surgery. So now you get a basic understanding of the medical management of the earlier spectrum of patients with diverticulosis or uncomplicated diverticulitis, and then the various indications of surgery across the spectrum of diverticular disease. In the next part of this series, which is the last video and probably the most important video if you are an exam going candidate, we are going to discuss the various surgical options, when to select which of them. And lastly, we are going to give 2 to 3 minutes of a very high yield revision on diverticulitis and the most commonly asked questions in exam. Thank you.